What? X Harper here, WWE2k19. We're in creation mode. This is actually a video that I haven't done for a while, so I want to kind of get back to some of the early videos that I made when I started about 2 months ago when the game released. And I haven't created an arena for a while, and so I just sort of challenged myself and said, okay, let's just go and look at doing one and see what happens. And I've decided to add to my 1997 pack of WCW pay-per-view arenas. So to do that, I've gone back to Sold Out, nWo Sold Out 1997. I've watched on the WE network, I've literally just watched the first sort of 5 minutes, found out roughly like the arena size, etc, etc. Just had a look at it, reviewed it, and we're good to go. What I wanted to do was take you through the whole process, and because of that, usually I just upload my images and then I put them in game, but what I'm doing now, I'm just going to show you the exact images that I've got. So I've created the logo for Sold Out, which is here. There is another Sold Out logo that I've got that I upload, and I just want to tell you that is not the logo for nWo Sold Out 1997. Okay, this logo that you've just seen is, and then this is the ring apron logo that I've also handmade. Well, I've created myself. I've had to go and find like the nearest logo, gone into Photoshop, and then I've edited it to make it look like as close to that logo as I possibly can. So let's go straight in, creating the arena. Now what I am going to do is create the show as well, because when this goes on to Community Creations, this is going to be uploaded as a show, not as an arena. So you're not going to be able to get it as an arena just yet. I might put it on as an arena shortly after. It depends, because it means I've got to delete one of my other arenas that are on Community Creations, and a lot of them are popular. I don't want to take stuff off that's popular, but there are one or two that I might be able to just throw off and replace with, so we'll see how that goes. But for now, it's just going to be a show, and the show will include the arena that you want. Waiting for the game to load. Load. Okay, so let's start. Arena templates. To be honest, this doesn't really make much difference to me. I usually use one of these two templates. I'm actually going to use template 2 to start this one off. Forgive me if I'm not always talking. I don't want to sound like a complete idiot all the time. So there will be moments where I'm pausing just to really gather my thoughts. And also, I'm just going to be focused on the game as well. And it may just be that I'm not thinking of the microphone being here, and I might forget to just say something. So I am here. Hopefully that will be shown through the video. I'm not dead. And I haven't muted the mic. So arena template's done. Base settings then. This is where we always start from. I always try and just find the base setting that's closest to the arena I'm trying to create. Now, from what I can see, this NXT 14 entrance actually looks very close in terms of structure to the event, but I don't need this to look exactly like the arena I'm creating. What I need is for it to have all of the elements that I need to create the event. Now, I tell you what, this one's a nice one. This one actually, again, looks kind of like... It actually looks almost perfect to the Sold Out event. But I'm just going to have a look down and just... I'm having a look just to make sure there are no more... It's always good on this game, and I'm learning this as I go, just to always check every arena that is offered on the game. Don't just settle for one or two arenas, because what you'll often find is that you'll discover a new one later and you'll just be like, why didn't I use that? It was so much more accurate for what I needed. So it's always good just to double check and then pick on, just sort of settle on one that you like. I don't think I like that one just yet. I mean, I'm going to deconstruct the whole thing anyway. So I'm going to pick Rory's War 98 for now. But just bear with me, this will not be what it looks like. In fact, I'm not even happy with those side curtains. What I like and what this event has. So I want to find one of the backdrops with a central curtain, if possible. Okay, Raw 2006. Let's look at that. Okay, that's better. I like that. And like I said, everything's going to change, okay? I'm not going to keep everything as it was. I'm going to look for the most appropriate arenas, etc., etc. Now, venue size 3 is looking like the one for sold out. It doesn't have the stanchions. It's not a tiny arena, but it's not as big as the big ones, so I'm going to do that. No crowd area fighting, whatever, that's fine. Again, you just have to choose this stuff based on, you know, what do you think. I remember the nWo pay-per-view was a smaller pay-per-view anyway, so I've got no real problem adding that one as the venue size. Again, I always make sure, and this is something you should always never forget to do, make sure you change the crowd so that it actually matches the time that you're trying to emulate. There is no announce table, but I always just switch it to old monitor anyway. It's just the fact that I like to do that. Now, there is no movie, but what you really want is like a black and white movie. So, again, what I tend to do is I just look through, see if there's one that kind of gets close to the coloration that I want. I'm not a big fan. I don't want red because, I mean, yes, it's on the logo, but I don't want red. Ooh, what's this one? Takeover Brooklyn is black and white. I like that. Now, these I will probably come back to later, the sub-movie and all that stuff. The only thing I change now is I remove all of this stuff. I remove the ring apron and the ring post LEDs. The sub-movie, I guess you could do the same if you wanted. You could do NXT Brooklyn if it's on there. Except that, but then again, just make sure that you remove it anyway. And it's just in case the game glitches out, something goes wrong, and for whatever reason, it displays it. And it does happen sometimes. Now, stage construction is obviously the big thing. What I tend to do here is deconstruct, and that's what I said to you before, to expect that I wouldn't keep anything. Then I would work, usually I like working on the stage first, because I like to get the stage out of the way and done. Now, the stage that they used, from what I could see, had loads of lights on, which is obviously really difficult to copy or mimic that. However, again, you can just go ahead and test stuff. You know, just go ahead have a look at the different ramp ways. I like this one, and that means it doesn't stand out, which is exactly what the nWo. Like, what I would do is go back in and see if there's anywhere I can add images. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that you can add them to the sides, so that's okay. I don't need to add an image. The color's right. It's black. Then you've got obviously the ramp. Now, with the ramp, it's more you want it to match everything else. That's certainly the way I see it. So you've got the ramp looks grey there. I don't want it to look grey. I want it to look like a black colour. Because that's okay. So that is the colour that I want to use now. No pattern. There wasn't any pattern. So you might want to go back to the stage and just make sure you match the colour. I think it's vitally important. Now, there is a problem with the game that with the lighting, it doesn't always match. Even though you think it matches here, when you actually get into the game, it doesn't match. But that's okay, especially when it's a darker black. It should be okay. Oh, what's this? I don't know what I've just done. Oh, yes, that's great. That's an addition to create an arena. They've finally added the ability to change the colour of the curtains at the side. That is perfect. I've been waiting for that for ages. Oh, I'm glad they've done that. Okay. I would have loved to have been able to add an image to that. Obviously, I would have added the sold out logos, but unfortunately, it's not letting me do that. I don't know what the heck this is. It says other, but it doesn't tell me what other is. Well, I've changed it anyway, so it's all the same colour now. As I said, announce table, you don't want to do any of that really at this point. You want to set the stage first. And what I also like to do is light for construction. I like it to be the match lighting so that I can see this is what it looks like during the match, because that's where you play your game. So you want the match lighting to be as accurate as possible. As for the lighting colour and things like that, I'm not bothered about that right now. The other thing I'm going to go ahead and do is just delete all of the arena. And I know that that means that it looks like a completely white arena, but that's okay. Ringside, the same thing. What I want to do is go in and select the exact mat that I want. Doesn't necessarily have to be the right colour, okay? So just to make you feel a bit better, don't worry too much about the colour, although I'm happy with that, and I won't actually change that ring mat colour now. Barricade, it was steel. And like I said, I'm looking at images right now that are on the network. It's like a dull black. It's never quite fully black. But like I said, I'm always looking at my laptop while I do these designs, okay? Double tables, single tables. Unfortunately, this arena is demanding that I use tables, which is a shame because I don't want to use a table. Because there was no table in this arena. So let's accept that for now. Let's see if there's a way that I can get rid of that. I think that might be under the base settings, perhaps. Let's go to template. It could be that it's the arena template as well. But I doubt that a lot because I've used template 2 for a lot of my arenas. For now, oh, I don't want that on there. I really don't want that on there. So let's see if I can find one where it allows me to delete having the announce tables. Do you know what? I'll have a look at that later and see if I can do that at the end, because that's like a minor thing. Right now, I've got the ring, the ramp, everything set up. Like my foundation is set for what I'm going to do for the rest of the arena. So what I want to do now is go back to the stage area and stage construction, and now we're going to start working on the Titantron and all of that stuff. Okay. So let's just pick one. There we go. What I also like to do, switch up make sure that you change your camera angles. It just helps you in terms of resetting the game. It puts it back to a default setting, and then you can just basically work from scratch again. Now, what they had in sold out, they had 3 big monitors. They've got 3 sort of huge Titantrons. I wouldn't say that this is appropriate, but it's close, because from what I can see, all of the Titantrons came from the floor up, but they were actually a bit higher than this, so they actually appeared to be about that height. So I'm going to go with that for now, and then pattern A doesn't matter. What you really want to do then is all groups. Now, from what I can see, they had a background that looks a little bit like, might have actually gone past the one I want. A little bit like concrete. The colour would have been darkest black you can find, because it's a monitor. accept that. Now, images. This is obviously going back to what I did earlier. Custom images. And somewhere here should be my logo. Oh, did I accidentally upload it as a 256? Okay, usually I upload it as a much bigger file than that. That was silly of me. But I'm going to see how this looks. And if it looks okay, then I'm not bothered. It's absolutely fine. I can justify that. And okay, the logo looks fine. I didn't realize that even the smaller version would look so good. So that's the logos done. The only problem I've got is the frame color at the moment. I hate the frame color on these Titantrons. I do not like using them. I use them for, I believe I've used them for Slamboree 97 as well. So what I may do is see if I can find another Titantron that looks better than that. Because I don't mind it. It looks okay. But I don't know. There's something that's not sitting right with me about that Titantron. And the other thing I could do, of course, is just find a smaller one. One that's a ginormous one. What I want is a smaller central Titantron if I can find one. If I can't, then I can't find it, and I'm not going to... I don't want to compromise the authenticity of the arena just for the sake of saying that, oh, I want to feel good about the Titantrons. Like, that one's not too bad. And what I can do as well, and this is another little trick that you can do, if you do want to use a bigger Titantron, or certainly a wider one, there is a bit of a workaround. And the workaround is, and again, you've got to keep going into this camera mode to make sure everything is centered as much as possible. It is annoying if you get a massive Titantron and it's not centered. So that's about right. Now, depth-wise, I want it a little bit out, but not too far. Looks about right. Color, again, you want to just blacken it. But then, I always put a pattern behind it anyway. I like putting a pattern behind it. I think it helps the game actually a little bit in terms of... I can't make that slightly more opacity. Okay. Let's see if these images work, because these are smaller images now. Oh. Like I said, so sorry. I'm going to have to go back and do 512 by 512. I do it for all my other ones. I just wasn't looking. Although, that looks okay. That's not too bad. You want to apply it. I want to... Now, this is where things get really difficult. I can tile it. And this is the trick I was talking about. The problem with doing that, you've basically got to get it so perfect. And it doesn't always look good. Like, that does not look good to me. I'm not particularly happy with that. Because that's out of proportion. I want it to be in proportion. Now I can get the bottom, but then you've got the top, or you can just do both and do that and stretch it so that it's all black. Like I said, it's really up to you and what you think looks great. For me, that's not bad, but it's also completely out of proportion. So I'm not sure I like that for this arena. I don't know. We'll stick with that for now. And we'll see what happens later. Because sometimes you find that once you've built the whole thing up, it looks so good you just don't want to change it. But then there are other times when you're like, actually, I can do something different. And again, Minitrons are really nice, because if you can find any Minitrons, like this one is a good Minitron for a lot of my arenas. I don't think it's big enough for what I want to do here though. Like I've said, sometimes you want to just look at these, see if you can find one that does... Like, that would be perfect. If that was a 3-panel, I would be really happy with that, because I would just add 2 of them. Nope. Nope. Yeah, I don't think any of these are going to work. That would be the closest, and that isn't big enough, which is great. The only other thing you can do, which is a bit cheeky, but it comes down to what I said. Now, that one might work. That one may actually work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use this. And I'm going to see if this looks better. So as you can see, a lot of this is just trial and error. When you're building an arena, it's never going to be done straight away. If you want it to look great, it's going to take time. And you've just got to work on it slowly. So again, I'm going to go down to custom images. I'm going to go over to 256. I'm really gutted that I did that. That's such a schoolboy mistake from me. Anyway, the point here is you need to, if you can, you want to position it. Oh, that is so annoying. Okay, so you might have to do tiling, which is even more annoying. But what you usually find that tiling does, you can kind of fit so that it works. The problem is it's got 2.5, 3.5, 4 logos, and they're not what I want. Son of a gun. The other thing you could do, you could try and move it so that, you know, you've got that. You could try and do it so that you've got 4 rather than 3. I wouldn't advise that personally. But you can see I've got 4 logos more or less all captured within the area there. Just a little tad out and then I've got it. So that's 4 logos. Now that's 1 more than I did before. And like I said, this is all about you deciding what looks better. You've got to look at it and just say, whatever, you know, does that look better than that? Which one better represents the arena that I'm trying to create? As it happens, I actually think that Sold Out 97, even though it only had 3 logos and I've got 4, this Minitron actually looks way better. It looks a lot closer to the way that the arena looked. So I'm actually going to keep that. And this is where you have to, when you're only using in-game elements, you've got to compromise on certain things. You can't always get exactly what you want. Sometimes you just need to compromise with these things, and it's an unfortunate thing to have to compromise on, but hey ho, I'm willing to compromise on it. So the other trick as well, if you want a curtain, what I tend to do is, especially with this arena as well, what I think is a good idea is you want that to be behind. You want it to be behind and above. What I usually do is pick somewhere where the header or the Minitron or the Titantron, whatever, somewhere where you can see at the very top there's a black line that keeps coming in and out. You want it to merge because that helps you get the positioning right. Because once, what you're doing now is you're checking the depth and you can see this isn't touching the top. But what I want to do is make sure that it's at the back. Okay? I want to make sure that this Tron here, it's kind of cool that you can do this, but so what I'm doing now is just checking this and making sure that it actually rounds out the sides and it's behind the Minitron rather than above and in front. Okay, so I'm happy with that. That looks great. So now I can set that. Now you can either turn it off if you want. That's completely up to you. It's your prerogative. I like to actually keep them on and just make them black usually, because I think it just creates a dark void, and when I put the header over it, it will help a little bit as well. The other thing you can do, which I haven't tried but might work, because there was lighting in this one. No, there's no. You could pick one. What I was thinking was you could pick a Tron that has lighting, or create lighting, try and create an effect. I don't think I need to do that with this. I'm going to stick with black. I'm happy with that. The header now is obviously vitally important to this arena because of the lights. So what you want to do here is just, from what I'm looking at, this has loads of lights. There are tons and tons and tons of lights. So again, you just kind of want to pick one that has loads and loads of lights, if possible. No, awful. Okay, this one has a lot of lights, and again, I hate the position that this game chooses. But what I would do is I come out, set the camera, and then again, like I said, merge it so that it's over the top. That gets the depth sorted, so you'll see it collide with everything. You want it to, obviously what you're trying to do here is get realism without it colliding. So I'm just going to push it as far back as it can go. And then I'm going to come around the side. Now obviously this isn't the exact lighting that they had. They had a lot more lights than this. But actually I'm quite pleased with the fact that this is looking good so far. It's not actually looking too bad, which is always a good thing. So I'm happy with that. And yeah, it says it's overlapping. As long as you're happy with it, leave it as it is. Now, for the wall parts, again, what you could do is just add one central screen here and have nWo, and then try and add 2 side screens. The problem is the game isn't very good at adding side screens that are worth having on the game. Like, this would arguably be one that I would be open to having, and having 3 sort of angled Titantrons like that. But again, there are 2. Let's just try it. And again, it's good to try these things. But the fact that it says all groups is not a good thing, because what that means is if we just accept that, if we go to images, if I add any image, it doesn't even matter which one. So let's just, you can see that it's added 2 Starcade logos. I don't want 2 logos. So that helps justify the fact that that would essentially treble the amount of images, logos that I have, and I don't want that. I can deal with having 4 sold out logos rather than 3, but I cannot deal with 6 or 8. So what I'm going to do now as well, I've noticed on here, and these are all things that you've got to go in after the game and just do later. You can't, there's nothing you can do. You've got to do it later. It's usually something that crops up. Now, I guess what I want here, the logo itself looks a bit too stand out to me. So delete, delete, delete. I know that sounds bad that I've just deleted my work, but you'll see why I'm doing it again in a minute. Oh wait, aha. Should have done this ages ago. So what I should have done was, in each of these areas I can add a custom image. Like I said, and I told you this myself, I fall for my own mistakes all the time on this game. I do. Now what I want to do is bring that opacity. The opacity wasn't that, it wasn't like beautiful white, so I'm going to add it to about 1 at 80. Accept that. Then you've got to remember that 180, but that looks a lot better. Now what I want to do is go and accept that. Then I want to go to the second group, which is one of the corner groups. Now you can either do it, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can either match it so that all 3 of them are exactly the same size, or you can do what I'm going to do, which is I'm actually going to use 3 that are more or less the same size, but not actually the same size. I want them to be the same height. That's a given. I think you absolutely want the height to be more or less the same. And again, opacity down to 180. This is why you've got to remember that. It's really important for you to remember. That's 180. Again, it's suck and see time. You have to just check, am I happy with these images? Would I prefer all 3 to look like the one that's highlighted right now? Or do I want to change the others? So let's accept that. Go back to what I would say is go back to the first group. Just, no, you want to accept all of that first, because it's not quite finished. And then what I would do personally is delete that one and delete that one. And what I'm going to do is go in, start this little bit of the process again from scratch. But what I'm going to do is start on the sides, because that is always the best place. Position the logo that you want first on the side, because those are the smaller ones, and you obviously want to try and make the most out of the space that you have. So it's really important that you utilize this first, and the best thing you can do is get the logo centered, and then you can just expand it upwards. Okay, so that's the size that I want. And then remember what I said, opacity 180. It's always important to remember your opacities, because it makes a huge difference. That's done. Ooh, there's a fourth group. That's kind of cool, because now I know that I can add a little bit extra to the base. But the third group, same thing again. And I'm sure you're noticing at this point, you're probably like, what on earth is Hexarper doing? He's taking so much time. This is not an easy game to create content for. You've got to, if you want it to be good, you've got to spend a lot of time creating with it. You cannot just run in after 5 minutes and be like, oh yeah, that looks great, and then leave. You have really got to spend time with the game. You've got to get used to it. You've got to look at all the possible options that you have, and you've got to make sure that everything looks right. Now, for me, those logos don't quite look right. One of them looks a little bit too big compared to the other. In fact, I wonder if I can just, I think that's as wide as I'm getting either of them. Okay, that's looking great. Because when I drop the opacity, you'll see that it'll look more or less identical. Sometimes, and again, this is something you got to remember, sometimes the opacity is what makes something look bigger or smaller than it actually is. So always bear in mind that the logos might not look right. You got to trust your own judgment at times. Now the good thing is, when you've got images side by side like I have, when you go and create the final one, that major third image, you can make sure that it actually stands out in the middle, but you can make sure that it's also approximately the same size. I don't mind this one being a little bit wider than the... Oh, completely cocked that up. I don't mind it looking a little bit wider than the other two. But as long as it falls somewhere in the middle. And again, what you want to do here is just come out, look at the sides, just double check everything, and just make sure you're happy before you set the place. If you're watching, I apologize. You've probably seen me do about 15 versions already, but we finally got to the area that I'm happy with, and as you can see, that looks phenomenal. Now, the only thing I would change here that I'm not happy with is this bottom bit. The reason I'm changing this, I'm going to do white, because I'm going to do like the yellowish light, if I can mimic it. There was like a really bright yellowy kind of glow light that this event had beneath all of its stuff. Wasn't as big as that, but I love that LED element. It just gives a little sort of hat tip to the way that the header looked in the authentic arena. But that is your stage area done. And as I said, because you've got the stage lighting for construction, it's a lot brighter. But for the match lighting, this is how it'll look in the match. And I'm looking and using reference points of how it looks in the match. I think that looks phenomenal. I'm very, very pleased. Remember, I haven't changed the colors of the lights or anything like that right now. None of that is needed as we stand at the moment. All that's needed right now was to get the look as authentic to the time as possible, and that is beautiful. Now, people, now we're going to work on the ring, and now we can get everything moving, and I can show you more parts that I've created. Now, the way that this works is really easy. Again, you want to color match everything. I usually, at this point, I go to my game, I go to my laptop, I've got my imagery of how it all looked. And again, something I've done, created a custom image and dropped it in here. So it's the 1024 by 256, and as you can see, beautifully made by myself. Oh, that is stunning. Okay, so then you've got the New World Order. So now it's just a matter of... I've done all the design, so I just need to get the actual positioning right. I'm happy with something like that. It's about right. And that's how they had it. They had it like that all around the ring. It's exactly how it looks from what I can see. Again, I tend to... Sometimes I dull down the opacity a little bit. Just tone it down. You don't want it to look as white as it... Even as white as it actually did in the arena, to be honest with you. Sometimes I also check the emboss, and I just sort of go both ways. I like to test it just to see how both work. See, to me what it does is it makes the font look bolder, and I don't want bold, I want thin. So I'm going to set the emboss at 0. The opacity is fine. And now I'm happy with that. So that's the ring aprons now done. If I go to free roam, that should mean that nothing is covered by the tables. But again, this is always something you should check by the stairs, sorry. You should always be checking and making sure that the chairs and the stairs, whatever it is, don't get in the way of the actual ring apron, okay? What a beautiful picture that is. Anyway, we'll come back out. Except... no pattern to it. A lot of people, I've said this before, a lot of people like to create the ring aprons with like the actual ring apron redesigned, and they like to put the creases on. Don't do that, man. Don't be sad. Just create the font, because that's all you need to put over the ring apron. It looks much more authentic. It looks a lot more genuine when you put it on the game. It's just, and that's a personal preference. I'm sure other people argue with that, but I think I'm right, without being too cocky. Next is the ring apron. Now the mat itself is closer to this grey colour. Again, I don't know. This one's like it's going to be a difficult one to do. I'm going to have to go over to the blue, because it's got more of a blue sort of tinge to it than if you were going to name a colour at all. It's more like a, oh, perfect. This is almost there. We're almost there. Probably a bit darker. I'm going to go with that ring mat colour. That looks about right. Images, there is indeed an image, yes, indeedy. So that would be the nWo logo. Now, unfortunately, I can't be bothered to take out the New World Order part of this logo, but on the original mat, there is no New World Order logo, just for your reference, everyone's reference. There is no New World Order text beneath the logo. It just says nWo in the square. I do have one saved. I could go in and do it, but to be honest, I love this one. It looks so nice. I'm just going to leave it on. Now, again, what I tend to do here is go into the opacity and just, you don't bring it down as much as the others, but I like to bring it down a little bit so that it just introduces it to the matte material, and I think that it makes the ring look a lot more authentic and genuine. So that one's good. I'm happy with that. Except I've done everything on the ring mat now, so I just accept everything, come back out. So now we're down to the ropes. At the moment there is nothing for the ropes. Unfortunately, I may lose this whole thing trying to eliminate that announce table. I'm going to see if I can eliminate it. If I can't, then I'm going to add 2 announce tables. I do not like 1 announce table. There was no announce table in WCW arenas, and that's something that I've always put on the game, but for some reason I can't delete it from this template. It might be the arena, it could be the template, I don't know. So I'm going to have a look at that later, but I am going to make sure this game is created the way I want it first. So you've got that done there. Ropes are dead easy. The ring posts, I always go with the normal ring posts. I know a lot of people don't. They like the modern look or whatever, but for me, it's all black. It's actually, I mean, this is one of my favourite colour schemes, ironically, for arenas. I love all black things, so all these need to be set to the right colour black. You just want to check, like I said, you just want to check everything and make sure that it's all correct and to your liking, because it all makes such a huge difference to the overall product. Steel steps, here's a bit of a tip for you. Do not just colour the ring steps. Always use this one. Okay, always use this pattern, because it reflects black a lot better than when you try and use the normal metallic steps. So that's a bit of a tip for you. Looks great. That looks absolutely perfect. Like I said, I've got the arena in front of me. This is looking unbelievably close to the actual arena. Now, the ring side I've already done, apart from the announce tables. Now, like I said, I'm going to add double tables. I do not like doing this, but for now, I'm going to add 2 announce tables. The other thing I'm going to do, I will give them a logo. If I can find a way of getting rid of it without destroying the whole arena, then I will do this. But until then, what I'm going to do is add the nWo sold out logo that I've got. Doesn't look quite right, does it? I'm not sure if that's just the angle, but it doesn't look... It is. Okay, so as you can see, that's fine to me, like anything like that. But again, just take down that opacity, because this shouldn't stand out too much. It's, at the end of the day, it's been printed on wood, so the idea is that it would have an opacity to it. You can change the colours if you want to like darken everything. Sometimes I do that. I mean, it really doesn't make that much of a difference, but it does change it. It's really down to your own personal taste. But for now, that is the ring done. You've got the announce tables done. You've got the original logos. You've got the entranceway looks absolutely perfect for 97. Now, the only thing for me to do, there's other, which is visual, which I will do at the very end. Now I want to go back to the lighting, and I want to go and change all of the lighting back to the colour that I've previously saved. And that was the other thing I was being quite smart on. I'd kept that colour saved so that I could get all of them the same. There you go. So this is looking very nice indeed. Let's go to other now. This is where you do the visual. What I always do here is the lighting first. I always do the lighting, and I always match it to the colour that I've been using for the event. Oh, that's weird. Menu image, I always just pick one that kind of best reflects the whole event. Usually camera angle 1 is great. What I am going to do here, because I've noticed something, you'll see the light, and it does this with the lighting, it's very heavy on the crowd to the point where it glows off of them. Now, I love the ones on the stage. I'm absolutely okay with the ones on the stage reflecting off of surfaces, etc, etc. What I do not like, however, is when the light glows off of the audience. I don't like that. It's very off-putting when I'm playing the game. So what I tend to do here is, at this stage, I will go to the lighting that is affected, and I will literally just change it down. That's all I'll do, is I'll turn it down, not to a black, but just very low. And again, what you're trying to do here is take that colour off without destroying the light itself. You don't want to take the lighting out, you just want to remove it slightly. In fact, let's move it all the way to, let's get it really nice and yellow, so that it at least maintains that sort of glow and colour. Now, I don't mind a little bit, that wouldn't put me off there. It's shining off of that guy's forearm a little bit, but if we go back to light for construction, in the construction it's going to be even brighter, which is another reason for taking it down. This is why I think it's good just to always make sure that the lighting is set to match lighting, so you know exactly what will it look like when I'm wrestling, because you're going to go up onto that stage potentially for some matches. You're going to want to go down the rampway for a fight. you're going to want to be all over the arena. So it's good to just double check all of that stuff. So for now, people, that is this arena done. What I'm going to do... Oh, sorry, I almost forgot my favourite part. So what I do for my arenas, and this is a real giveaway for you all, I take the saturation down by 22, and I up the contrast by 22. And what that tends to do, it just gives you a real... To me, it darkens the arena, but it also takes down the coloration slightly, and that aids the way that the camera looks when it's being filmed. I also tend to take the fog up to a 6 or a 7. I used to have it at a 9 when I started, but it really depends on the arena. This one did have a lot of smog, a lot of fog and smog, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. So I'm actually going to take it up to a 9 for this one. But that is my arena as you can see it. The lighting is all correct. I'm actually really happy with that. That is my nWo arena. And now it's just a matter of naming it. Now I won't call this one WCW. This is probably going to be the first one that I've called by its actual name. So it's nWo Sold Out. '97. Except that, yes, we want to go to a custom show, because I said before this video I'm going to make the whole damn show. So there you go, nWo Sold Out '97. Show music, I'm not a huge... like, this stuff doesn't bother me, you know? It just does not bother me. I guess you want... I say I guess. What a stupid thing for me to say. I absolutely do want Kevin Nash's music in this game. It would make sense for this show that it's the actual nWo music for the stable of the pay-per-view itself. However, finding Kevin Nash or Scott Hall is proving to be a bit of a ball ache. There are too many people in front of me. I cannot see a thing. If you can see Kevin Nash, and I've gone over it, I'm so sorry. Oh, it's not going to be under that, is it? It's going to be under the Outsiders. There you go. Great. So that's the music set. Then we've got the commentary, which... Do you know... you've just got to go with generic. I wish that they would add like a generic WCW, a generic ECW, and that's it. And just have a generic one that just says welcome to like WCW. When they do the welcoming, they should just be saying like, they shouldn't say the actual event. They should just say like, welcome to WCW. That would be so much easier and more fun. The arena looks sweet. Show image. Again, I'm a little bit disappointed with myself. I probably will go back at some point before I upload this. I probably will go back. I'm just going on to my image uploader now. You can probably hear the clicking from my keyboard. That really annoys me, that noise. But what I'm going to do is go in here and re-upload the image that I want to put on the game. Basically, I'm going to do it as a 512 this time to make sure that it's that sort of higher level, higher quality image. As for the arena itself, it doesn't look bad. Like, I'm happy with it, but yeah, you can see there that it's only going to accept a 512 by 512 logo for the show. So the only thing I'd be willing to do with this for now, Ghost, by the way, is my guy. I'm going to put that in. And the reason I'm doing that is just to have an image for now, just like a placeholder. I think, certainly from an nWo perspective and this event, it would have nWo. I don't think it would be WCW. The show load... there is a show load that I really like for the NWO, and it's this one. Location, I don't give a crap about locations. I don't know about other people, but the referees, I believe they actually wore... I've got a picture, I think, of a referee. Perfect. So the refs wore all black for this event. So they would have been world-class refs. And then I always go with late 90s filter. The matchup screen. What do I want this to look like? This one looks kind of good, because it's got the LEDs in the background. So that's probably one that I will go with. The other thing, I wouldn't do that one. That one's too Hell in the Cellish. This one, again, I'm not quite sure I like that. Maybe I like that. That's got the red. Let's do the 80s transition. Like I said, you guys can go in and you can change. See, I hate that. That is the worst one. You can change it to whatever you want it to be. Love that one. That's going to be, I mean, like I said, forgive me for using this random show image. I guess I could change it to just the New World Order for now. Let's do that. That would make a lot more sense, wouldn't it? So now we can have a look at this and it'll look a lot... Ooh. Now we can have a look at the sports transition, and it should look a lot better this time. There you go. And I will use that for most of my stuff. I think it's more just the fact that the background looks like the LED from the front of the... I guess I could go in and use the 80s one. Looks good. You know, I like the black and white effect, so maybe I could use that. I'm not a fan of using differing ones. I like to use either one or the other, but I do recognise that the animation one, the animation screen, is really weird for the 80s. It was just a bizarre element that they've added. But for everything else, and I'll just always just double check these things, because the worst thing in the world is adding stuff and then realising this looks crap. But that white and red goes really well with the nWo sold out logo. Just remember that the logo will have that red on it as well once I've uploaded it. But that's it. I'm happy with that being my show. So I've now got the nWo sold out 97 done. You will be able to find this on Community Creations. I'm going to be going out now and basically just sorting out all the issues I told you about. I'm going to sort out the logo, because you can even watch me do that. I'm going to download the new image here. Done. So that's it. And then I think right now it's probably best for me to go back in, change the arena around, edit everything that I need to, and then I will come back at you guys on Twitter and online. Please, if you want to know more of what I'm doing, follow me on Twitter. It's at xharperco, or on Instagram at xharper.co, and that's a literal dot, not the word dot. Once you've done that, we can talk more. Follow me on here, like, comment, unlike the video. But please, if you do the thumbs down or the thumbs up, please actually comment and tell me what you think, and how I can make this video better, how I can make my entire channel better. I want to keep making things better for you guys. I'm doing it for you. I do enjoy making my videos, but I also want to enjoy making them and feel like you guys appreciate what I'm doing. But there's the nWo sold out 97. You can see that it looks phenomenal. That's it, guys. Have fun with your game. I hope you're enjoying WWE2k19 so far. This is going to be available on Community Creations soon. Like I said, it's going to be a show at first. I may put it on properly later, but for now, it is what it is. Thank you so much. I'm X Harper, and you guys have been awesome. And until next time, I will see you soon.